All right, before we start fixing up your water heater and making it function a little bit better, make sure you turn the power off and double check to make sure that the electricity is not running through those wires, and then you're good to go. All right, the first thing I tried doing was relieving and letting all the water out through the drain tube. However, my drain tube was clogged and was just a dribble, so I let it run for a while, but it wasn't enough, and we'll get to see later the effects of that. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at these heating elements, which seemed to be my problem. It seemed like one was working and the other one was not. I would only get about half the hot water that I used to. So I went ahead and inspected these, and the bottom one looked terrible. It was burnt on the plastic and it was all rusted out, and it looked like there was some water that was leaking. I believed what happened at some point is the plastic housing or something in the plastic may have cracked and broke, maybe got too hot, I'm not really sure, and then the water leaked a little bit and caused a lot of corrosion, as well as the unit not working anymore. So I went ahead and used some PB Blaster to kind of break up that rust, and then I tried to remove the electric wires from the heating element, and it was an absolute disaster. So hopefully yours isn't as ugly as mine, but it was a total mess cleaning this up. So here I'm turning off the supply just to make sure that no more water is entering the unit.
All right,
to make things more difficult.
Upstairs, and turn on some faucets and let the water pull from the tank for a second. That should drain out the lines a little bit more. Alright, now the water's moving a little better than it was.
Alright, so while we wait for that to kind of drain a little bit, I went ahead and tried to clean out more of this rust and debris so I could actually pull this thing out. I tried pulling it out with this tool that is basically just a fence post with some angles on it, but it was entirely too loose to actually grab a hold and do anything. Alright, so I'm trying to get this to fit. This is what's in there that we need to take out. So this thing right here goes on here. It's way too loose to get any good fitting on, so I may have to go get a better tool.
This thing just slides around too much. I'm gonna have to get something that will fit nice so I can actually get a grip on it. Otherwise, I'm never gonna get it.
Now, while I let that set, I went ahead and decided to go ahead and check out the anode rod, which is supposed to help with, it's kind of supposed to take all the corrosion, the brunt of the corrosion. So I wanted to change that because I've heard if you keep that anode rod changed to that, over time, it'll just rust out the anode rod and not the inside of your tank, and basically extend the life of your tank for 20 years or 12 or just way more than 7, like I'd 6 that I'd gotten to this. So I got a new set of wrenches. I don't know if this will work. It's the best they had. That is another set of tools that I picked up, hoping that this would work. It said like a shower key set. So I was like, well, they look a little bit more, like the tolerances are a little bit better, but it was a little better, but it was still not fitting and not working with that. So again, I just tried pressure and a screwdriver like you're supposed to with it. Tried tapping it on with a hammer. you know, nothing was working. So again, I went frustrated to the store, and this is part of why I'm showing you this. So hopefully you don't have to do what I did and spend time going to the store 8 times. You can go get the tools you need right away first, based on how bad your heating element looks. If it's rusted and a total disaster, spray it with some kind of thing to break up the rust, and then go to the automotive store or to Home Depot and get a nice socket nut size that fits, put it on an air driver and spin it off. And that's what I did here.
Well, I got it.
And you can see all the water draining out because I didn't get the water drained out of the hose on the bottom because it was so clogged and filled with
It's like weird silica gel type junk all over.
Come to find out, that weird silica gel junk in there was a lining that the tank companies were putting in their liners inside their tanks at one point to keep the corrosion from getting to the tank. However, it just broke apart and stuck to everything, including the heating element, and just ruined things. And that's part of the reason why I couldn't get the thing to drain down below either, because of that lining that just kind of started floating in the tank and degrading. I don't think they do it anymore, which is good because it's terrible. All right, so I'm going to check out the top one, and it had lots of corrosion and that junk all over it, so I decided to replace that one as well, just so it was all done at the same time. Now this is me trying to get that anode rod out, and there was no way that thing was moving at all. Put an air gun on it, you know, torqued it hard with a wrench and everything. It just did not come off. It would not come off. That was definitely made to be a one-time use and never replaced, which is no good. Hopefully you can find a tank that you can replace that on, because that will extend the life of your tank for a much longer time. So reinstalling the heating elements back in, you just carefully slide them in, hand tighten them, and then I think it's like a 1/2 or 2.5 turns. You don't want to over crank it, but you do want to make sure that it's going to hold a seal. And I did that with the wrench and the socket that I went and got. Now the socket was about 20 bucks, but if I would have known that in the beginning, I would have saved myself 3 hours of headache. So something to take note of. You want to save yourself 3 hours, go spend the 20 bucks, get that socket, and it'll just make life so much easier to take those things off. So this is me replacing the heating element in the bottom. Again, just hand tighten, and then tighten it up with the socket wrench. All right, now that I've got everything together, I'm going to go ahead and close the tank up by closing the drain on the bottom, and then I'm going to let water into the system and see if it leaks.
All right, I got no leaks, so I'm going to finish hooking this up.
With no leaks, I'm going to put the wire connections back on, so that way the electricity can run to those heating elements and actually heat the water. And then I'll turn the power back on after the water's full. You don't want there to be no water in the tank. Otherwise, you could burn out your heating elements, and that would be no good. You'd have to start all over. But that's it. Hey, thanks for staying with me through this video. If you found any of this helpful, give me a like, give me a subscribe, maybe a comment down below. And until next time, maybe go check out this video here that'll help you redo your whole entire kitchen.